Hi, my name is Jason Krupp and I'm a research fellow with the New Zealand Initiative, and I'm here to talk to you today about local government. We all rely on a wide variety of utilities and services every single day of our lives. We use electricity to cook our meals and heat and light our homes. Pipes deliver clean water to our taps, and the sewer system takes waste away. Every week the garbage truck removes household waste and takes it to the tip. And they also take reusable items like plastic and glass away for processing. We also rely on roads to enable this, and also to get us to places like work and school. Businesses also need these utilities and infrastructure to get their goods and services to customers. This infrastructure, of which we've just scratched the surface, is not something that many of us spend a lot of time thinking about. But I bet that if we remove just one element, our lives would be substantially poorer for it. In New Zealand, these utilities and services have one thing in common. They're provided to some degree by local government. And it's the job of councils to supply the right combination of these utilities and services to best meet the needs of their community. So in Auckland, there is huge pressure to extend utility networks so that more houses can be built. But in places like Taupo, it's about encouraging economic growth between the tourist season peaks. Now imagine for a minute that councils didn't have the ability to tailor their services to the needs of their community. If the rules that apply to a major urban centre like Auckland also apply to a small town like Picton, that every town, no matter how small, has to have a library the size of Wellington's. This probably sounds a little far-fetched, but it is something that is happening in local government at the moment. Let me give you an example. Recently, central government passed legislation dictating minimum water standards that applied across the whole country. That's fine in a place like this, Wellington or Auckland, that already has an infrastructure in place and has a growing population to handle the costs, but that doesn't necessarily work in a place like Hurunui with its small population, where upgrading the pipes and the water purification plant to meet these standards would place a significant cost burden onto the shoulders of ratepayers for generations. Another example has been the drive by central government to amalgamate groups of councils into super cities. The one proposed for Greater Wellington wanted to merge 8 district councils and 1 regional council to form a super city that stretched from rural Masterton 100 kilometres south to Wellington City. There are about 23,000 people living in Masterton. How much say do you think they would have had in the running of the super city compared to the 200,000 residents in Wellington, or the 100,000 people living in Lower Hutt, or the 50,000 people who live on Kapiti Coast? Wellington's amalgamation, as well as plans for Northland and Hawke's Bay, have been scrapped after they failed to win over local people. But there is still a strong drive among central government to consolidate the local government sector further. We at the New Zealand Initiative think a little differently. We think that if you want to get local communities and regional economies to thrive, you need to embrace diversity. This school of thought is called Localism. At its core, localism is about local people using local knowledge to make local decisions that produce the best results for them. Now, to the average person, this may sound a little strange, giving local people more say in the running of their communities through their councils, especially when you see some of the colourful headlines about some examples of local government spending. But our research into this sector shows that for the most part, local councils have very little debt on their books. Likewise, spending and rates, when measured against the broader economy, have been largely constant since the 1940s. And on the whole, councils tend to produce the infrastructure and services that their communities need. That's not to say that there isn't room for improvement. Councils can always do better, and we need better to tackle the challenges coming at us. Large portions of New Zealand's infrastructure will need to be renewed in the next 30 years, and we need flexible ways of funding this. Rapid shifts in the global economy also mean that the tried and tested formula of infrastructure equals growth may not be as effective as it has been in the past. We at the New Zealand Initiative believe the way to tackle these challenges is by tapping local expertise to produce local solutions. And we need local solutions because our regions are so diverse. Auckland thrives on services, Martinborough is a grape-growing region, while Queenstown is a tourist destination. From our perspective, a one-size-fits-all approach to local government just doesn't make sense. Our research into the sector has shown the shortcomings of over-centralization over the past 170 years. We're also researching countries that use a localist government structure and whose economic growth has outpaced that of New Zealand. Lastly, we're developing a roadmap to show how we can devolve decision-making to a lower level in a way that makes us all better off. So, if you want a greater say in your community, if you want to encourage more economic growth, and if you truly want to put power in the hands of the people, join us at nzinitiative.org.nz.